Dealing with anxiety is like being best friends with a telemarketer. No matter how many times you say, "I'm not interested," it just keeps calling. By the end of this video, I hope you'll leave with tools, insights, and ideally, fewer stressy, overthinking brain loops. Here's the plan. We'll break down what anxiety really is and why it keeps crashing into your life uninvited. Plus, toward the end, I'll share some tricks to help you manage it in real time. Think about it. As a kid, anxiety was that strange feeling when you were the last one picked for dodgeball or had to answer a math question. Maybe you worried about getting caught sneaking an extra cookie, the usual kid stuff. But fast forward to adult life, and suddenly the stakes are way higher. Now it's a 24/7 broadcast in your head of what could go wrong today. So, what is anxiety? Imagine your mind as an overly enthusiastic security guard. Most people's security guards do a decent job keeping things safe, right? But if you have anxiety, that guard is on high alert, yelling, "Code red," over something as small as burnt toast. This means any random thought can turn into a full-blown saga. One second you're thinking about lunch, the next you're spiraling into, "What if I accidentally said something embarrassing 3 years ago?" Suddenly, your mind's convinced you're one awkward conversation away from social exile. Anxiety keeps your brain on high alert, always asking, "Is there something to worry about? What if this happens? What if that goes wrong?" And here's where it gets interesting. It's not just in your head. Anxiety shows up in your body too. Heart racing? Check. Shaky hands? Yep. Weird stomach sensations? Absolutely. So, do you have a security guard moment that makes you laugh now but felt huge at the time? Drop it in the comments. Sometimes it's surprising how much we all share. Why is anxiety on the rise? Anxiety isn't just a mental thing. It's physical too. The problem is, we've mostly treated it as something that only lives in your thoughts. Remember that security guard? Well, now, they've got a whole team convinced there's a serious threat. Think of your brain and body as partners in crime. When you're anxious, it's not just your mind panicking. Your whole body is running defense for whatever imaginary crisis your brain has cooked up. How does anxiety form? Let's rewind to childhood. Say you're 5 years old with a parent who's unpredictable, maybe stressed or unhappy. You're tiny and have zero control over the situation. So what does your brain do? It goes into overdrive, thinking, "If I can predict every possible mood, I can stay safe." This habit of thinking, planning, and worrying becomes a survival mechanism. Your brain learns to prepare for every possible outcome because it lacks other tools. Flash forward to adulthood, and here's the kicker. You're still on high alert, but now it's about everyday things like a work presentation or a conversation with your partner. Meanwhile, you never develop the skills to solve your problems without overthinking. For me, I'd lie awake at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation from years ago, wondering if I messed it up. Spoiler alert, it's anxiety's doing. If you're ready to take charge of that over-the-top security guard, you're in the right place. We're breaking down topics like this to make sense of the chaos. If that sounds helpful, subscribe. Why does anxiety persist and get worse? Why do we struggle to shake it off? Because most treatments focus only on the mind. But anxiety involves the whole crew: brain, heart, gut, and that security guard pulling all-nighters. When you're anxious, your body stays in high alert mode. Your heart has its own nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, which controls your heart rate and stress response. Your heart's beating faster, and your body's ready for action, just in case a tiger jumps out at you. But there's no tiger, yet you're still feeling all this adrenaline and tension. And your gut, aka the second brain, is also in on the action. The bacteria in your gut influence your mood, so if your gut's unhappy, the rest of your system is too. It's like a group chat between your organs. When one's upset, everyone's upset. What can we do today? Here's a piece of the anxiety puzzle: self-compassion. If you're like me, you've probably thought, "Why am I like this?" Or, "Why can't I just relax like everyone else?" But those thoughts fuel the anxiety fire. Practicing self-compassion, talking to yourself as you would to a friend, can calm you. Think of it as your brain's emotional first aid kit. Next time you're feeling anxious, instead of asking, "Why am I so anxious?" try saying, "I'm feeling anxious, and that's okay." Now, let's talk about the what ifs. Anxiety loves turning tiny, everyday things into catastrophic events. Reframing is like hitting the reset button. When an anxious thought pops up, ask, "Is this actually true, or am I jumping to conclusions?" For instance, if you're thinking, "Everyone's going to hate my first video," reframe it to, "Some might not love it, but others might find it helpful." Challenging these initial thoughts makes them less powerful and more realistic. Approaching and managing anxiety. So, what can we actually do about it? Here are some practical steps. Step 1. Diet. Anxiety doesn't just sit in your head. It's affected by the rest of your body, and your gut is key. Believe it or not, what you eat affects your mental state. Cut back on processed foods, eat more fiber, and consider probiotics. Leafy greens, whole grains, and yogurt help create a calming environment that can reduce anxious thoughts. Step 2. Exercise. Exercise is like hitting refresh for your body's stress response. Think of it as training your heart and muscles to relax faster after each alert. The more you exercise, the quicker your body learns, "Oh, this isn't an emergency. We're okay." Step 3. Tolerance. Anxiety comes in waves. Building tolerance means letting the wave rise, peak, and fall without getting swept up. Picture anxiety as the ocean. You're not stopping the wave, you're riding it out. Trying to control anxiety tends to amplify it, but letting it crest and fall teaches your body, "We can handle this." Exposure therapy can help build tolerance. If social situations make you anxious, start by putting yourself in one for a few minutes without retreating into your phone or staying near someone you know. Gradually increase that time. Each time you resist the urge to escape, your tolerance strengthens. Remind yourself the discomfort will pass. Step 4. Let go of control. Anxiety thrives on the need for control, tricking us into thinking that if we manage every detail, we can prevent disaster. But trying to control everything usually adds stress because, spoiler, most things are out of our control. Letting go can be liberating. It's like telling that security guard, "Take the day off, I've got this." Try small experiments in letting go. When you feel anxious about something, like meeting someone new, resist the urge to micromanage every outcome. Remember that worrying won't prevent things from going wrong. It just makes the lead-up stressful. And if it does go wrong, tolerate it. Accept imperfection as part of a much bigger story. Detachment from ego. Here's a game changer. Ego detachment. Much of anxiety is tied to the ego. What will people think of me? What if they don't like me? What if I fail? Try letting go of that fear. Instead of, "What if they don't like me?" say, "Maybe they won't, and that's okay." Detachment can drastically reduce anxiety's grip because you're no longer tying your self-worth to others' opinions. You can practice detachment through mindfulness or meditation, building a buffer so those anxious reactions don't control you as much. All right, here's the lowdown. Anxiety's got your brain, heart, and gut all in on the act. And it's not about just thinking positive. Treat it like you're training that overly dramatic security guard one small step at a time. Cut back on the junk, get moving, show yourself compassion, and let go of trying to control every little thing. And remember, you're not in this alone. Small changes make a big difference over time.